All right, looks like we got some more capitulation here on the charts. If you remember in my last video, I went ahead and entered a long position on what I thought would be the final capitulation in this area right here. Had my stop at entry, and this right here is why you always put your stop loss at entry immediately after entering your position, because the probabilities are just probabilities at the end of the day, and if it goes against you, you need to be risk adverse such that you do not blow up your account and you can still be profitable over the course of time. And I have in fact entered another long position from Pico bottom here, taking the sweep of the liquidity because Bitcoin had clearly made bullish structure, but Ethereum was still underperforming. So I went ahead and took another shot at ETH because I had more of a structural edge on this pair, and I think it is going to play a big catch-up game. The ETH Bitcoin pair does look like it is nearly bottomed. I think the higher lows on the macro is going to hold, and we should see altcoin season going up into this final high on Bitcoin. As you know, my base case is just an upthrust after distribution, so in this final upthrust we should see that money flown into more risk on assets, and of course Ethereum is a little bit more risk on than Bitcoin. And we do see here on the very short term time frame, after ETH made this final sweep, after I entered my long position, we're seeing ETH Bitcoin rise again. So I kind of looked out timing that. Usually it's really hard to time rotational plays between different coins, so there's a good chance, trend is to continue down here. I'm not saying this has to be the bottom for ETH Bitcoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is so. Also, speaking of timing, I didn't just time this bottom perfectly. I actually tried to enter last night as well on this sweep of liquidity within here. I took the backtest of value area high, and then I took the backtest of the golden pocket. So I had two entries within this area, went ahead, put my stop at entry, and got stopped out once again here. Just another reason to why you always put your stop loss at entry, even when you are very confident the low is in, because market makers do market maker stuff, and they like to sweep the sweep, right? They like to play around with that liquidity, and since I think there was a lot of retail trying to long ETH after this capitulation, it made sense to just keep running the stops on those positions. Until now, where I do believe structure is going to change on Ethereum, we're going to see the ETH Bitcoin pair turning more bullish, and we should see continuation up pretty violently on all of our risk on pairs in crypto. Altcoin season, right, should absolutely start right now, and I predict it goes on until around September when the Fed is going to cut rates. We've talked about that a lot on this channel and why this will be a sell the news event for the markets overall. Real quickly, all you gotta do is look at the charts. The federal interest rate is this blue line at the bottom, orange is crypto, yellow is the Russell, cyan is the S&P, and then purple up here is gold. You can see every time the Fed has cut rates, while retail thinks it's a very bullish thing for markets, we do see every time that Fed has cut rates, such as back in 2000, the S&P absolutely tanks. We see in 2007, great financial crisis. Even in 2019, while there wasn't much of a hiking cycle, when they cut, we do absolutely see the end of the 2019 bear market rally for crypto, even while the S&P continues up for a little bit before this black swan event. So I have no reason to believe this time wouldn't be different, especially with how overextended these parabolas are. Probably one more upthrust into these cuts before the markets finally are topped out for good, and this is what leads me to believe the Wyckoff upthrust after distribution is going to take place, because the Fed is almost guaranteed to cut in September. When we look at the rate cut predictions, they're going to be having a meeting very soon in July. This is in just 6 days. They're 93% chance going to stay paused, so that's good for markets, but they should signal they're going to be cutting in September. So after this meeting, market participants are absolutely going to start pricing in what they believe is a bullish event, and we should see those risk on assets start flying with that speculation from retail investors. And then when we do come to September 18th, when the Fed actually does cut, right, they're at an 87.7% chance of doing a 25 basis point cut compared to a 12% chance of doing a 50 basis point cut. And it is a shocking 0% chance that they will be keeping rate cuts the same. They are 100% going to be cutting in September. It just depends how much they cut. In my opinion, the more they cut, the more bearish it is for markets. But either way you put it, the start of this cutting cycle should mark the top in markets. Is it going to mark the exact day of the top? Potentially, but maybe not, right? They might front run it. The top might come in before September. The top might come in after September, maybe during election season. But we need to be staying vigilant in the markets just based off what historical data tells us. Jumping back over here to Ethereum, we see some big green candles on the shorter term time frame, flipping the value area high into support. Let's see if that can actually hold. One candle on the 5 minutes, not really enough to confirm that, but nice to see so far. And then we jump over here to Bitcoin, and you can see a very nice bullish hammer candle on the daily time frame, a nice nice bounce right off of that daily EMA on a hidden daily bullish divergence, lower highs on RSI, higher lows on price, showing that that big selling pressure was being absorbed by big buyers that we could see in real time playing out on Trading Light. We saw a massive whale in the order books. This is absolutely who you would consider to be a market maker. As price came down into these lows, we saw staggered limits placed into the order books at the same time. This is done using an API that the whale coded, so he can go ahead and stagger them all in at the same time, and each of these positions are around 1,000 Bitcoin. These are limit long positions on Binance USDT contracts. And if we go over to the 1 minute time frame, we can see that there's actually more walls than just meets the eye. We have thousands of Bitcoin aggressively entering right after this first capitulation wick. Price struggles to accept below it, but when we do fill below it, there are even more big limit walls staggered below it, soaking up the sellers. And after this initial sweep right here, a reclaim of the level, we see massive spoof walls being placed into the order books, or at least you would think they're spoof walls, right? That's what I originally thought. I was like, okay, this is the market maker in here. He just absorbed all the orders he wanted to. Now he's putting in spoof walls. Price is likely just to go up now. I went ahead and intraday long here. Again, stop loss at entry. Price was actually not done taking these orders though. Continued the bearish trend down. I went ahead, got stopped out at entry, but this will actually continue to fill these walls. These are not spoof orders. These are legitimate walls that he is absorbing price with. Each of these are still around 1,000 Bitcoin. We can see 1, 2, 3 walls get filled within here. Price bounces up, makes higher highs on the shorter term time frames. You would think that's the low, but no, later on, if we can go to the 3 minute time frame, because this chart is broken on the 1 minute, you do see after these higher highs come in, price breaks back below the sweep level and fulfills all of his walls within here. 3 more 1,000 Bitcoin walls getting absorbed by sellers, and he goes ahead and limits in even more spoof walls below price. And this right here is where your actual low comes in after this one whale fills around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 Bitcoin worth of limit long orders on Binance. That equates to an almost $700 million long position. So that was pretty crazy to see in the order books. Normally, these market makers try to stay a little bit more hidden. You don't really know exactly where they're getting filled, but this person was very obvious, trading on an exchange where you can actually see those order books on Trading Light. So that was, of course, very interesting to see on the charts. And something else that is very noteworthy is our order flow right now. So when he does get fulfilled, we do see open interest going crazy, CVD going down, shorts were being aggressively opened into those buy walls before getting squeezed to the upside, and this is mostly a squeeze. So as price has trended up here, open interest has trended down, and normally I would say this is not very bullish. We actually want longs continuing up with price to show that bullish continuation, but after this original squeeze, we don't see longs being opened. That would actually worry me. If we had a short squeeze up here and then long started to open, that would indicate they're probably going to get trapped. The fact that we didn't have those top longers indicates that the squeeze might likely continue until we do get those longs starting to FOMO at the highs. And what we see on Bybit over here on the right is that we actually do have some bullish continuation from smart buyers. You see after this sweep, after open interest closes out, right? They're not opening shorts in this area. They're closing out of longs. But after the sweep does take place, they start reopening their longs. So they're more on the right side of the market. They're trying to enter longs in this area, not trying to bottom short like retail. And then after this move has been made, we don't see them aggressively FOMOing into the highs. We see them just starting to take profit. Shorts are closing out, and that is very bullish for the continuation up on higher. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing. You're probably noticing we also just pixel touched this level within here. What is that? Well, that's a previous sweep level of these lows back in this area. So that's pretty cool to see there. This has now just became a deviation to the downside, and now it looks like we are trying to reclaim the level. Once again though, this is still in the making. We don't have really confirmation of that back test yet, but so far I really do like what I'm seeing on the charts. And the next target, as we've been talking about, is absolutely all-time highs next, potentially after finding some resistance in this area here. But I would expect, since we already had the capitulation of our leveraged positions, that we don't have the need for too much corrective phases after this, and we should go up pretty swiftly into that top side liquidity that we have continued to talk about on this channel up to around $75,000. And at that point is when I get very cautious in the markets. I do not have the belief we're going into a super cycle that lasts through 2025 and replicates a 4-year cycle. No, I think the top comes in within the next 90 days before election season and potentially within the next month. So we need to be staying vigilant. Assuming we do break these all-time highs, do not get caught with retail believing we're just going to continue into 500K, because a swing failure of this level and a rejection back into the range would be a possibility and would be a sign that the next target is actually the bear market. But I will leave off the video entertaining the idea of much higher, because technically this could be Wyckoff accumulation, where we have just exited spring phase and we could continue on up to those multiple 6-figure price targets into a blow off top that I still think is going to happen sooner than most people expect. Just looking at macroeconomic factors such as unemployment rate, I don't think this is lasting much through 2025. If we even make it to 2025, if this is truly Wyckoff accumulation, we should see these highs break very convincingly, maybe a back test, but it should not accept back within the range. If we see price accept back within the range after breaking those highs, I would be very confident at that point the bear market is the next target. So we'll just continue to watch closely. There's not quite enough data yet to confidently say one scenario is definitely going to happen over the other. We'll of course just take it day by day here on the channel, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts. But if you do have any questions about anything I talked about, or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is at the top of the description down below, and below that is my VIP Discord. Click on that to learn more about it. 50% off right now, only $20 a month for the first 3 months. And also down below that you will see limited time event links for my exchange partner BingX. If you want to earn yourself some awesome rewards on a great exchange, check that out as well. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.